Greetings cats, Ed Midsole Bud here, back with another dose of that running news for you. Thanks for tuning into the channel. If it's your first time here, where have you been? Please help us out to keep on growing and expanding like some sort of midsole poly filler or something. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications so you're notified. You can also help the channel out too by giving this video a thumbs up like and sharing it with your running buddies. I've seen that somewhere else recently, can't quite put my finger on it. It also helps out too on an ad hoc sort of basis if you give us a super thanks down below. It supports the channel, keeps the shoes rolling in, and I can answer one of your questions directly, like some sort of mind connection with you. Do you catch my drift? Anyway, let's get on with the running news. Here we go. Story 1. A rather humorous one this for you football or soccer fans. Recently, you probably noticed Manchester United had quite a poor start to the season. I think they were beaten 4-0 by Brentford. Actually, I can remember Yeovil beating Brentford at one point. That's how quickly football fortunes can turn around. They had a bit of a rocky start though, have picked up since beating bitter rivals, or at least rivals from the 80s, I suppose, Liverpool. A lot of people are putting some pressure onto the new Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag. It's a great name. And punishment for the players from the manager after the Brentford match was to run about 13.8 kilometres. He hadn't just picked this figure out of the air somewhere. This was the amount of distance that the Brentford players had covered more than the United players. So he brought them back in on the next day in some punishing conditions and got them running. I think he joined in as well. It wasn't like he was just making them do it and then sort of laughing at them. I think it should have been a rest day for the players, but clearly they realised they'd done wrong. I mean, when you're getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, you know, you should put in a bit of a shift, really. It did seem to benefit them. Obviously, they had a improved performance against Liverpool, got the season back on track, and I think they put in a lot more sprints, actually, and covered more ground than Liverpool. Seems like Ten Hag could be into his running. Let's see if it has a more long-term effect on his Manchester United players as the season develops. Story 2. The name Allyson Felix should be etched into your mind in terms of Olympic medalists. She should be in your memories. I think she's one of the most highly decorated across the competition. Certainly over the 100 to 400 meters distance. I was very interested to read that she's actually created a shoe brand. I think this is in response to some of the treatment that she received as a Nike runner some years ago when she was pregnant. I'm going to go into that in more detail in another video in the future. I think it needs to be looked at, and certain practices that have supposedly changed over recent times need to be looked at too. Anyway, back on track. She launched her shoe brand SAYSH. I think I've pronounced that correctly. If I haven't, I'm very sorry. The SAYSH 1 is one of the first shoes to launch, which is designed specifically for female feet. It's also available in extended sizing as well, and I can almost hear women applauding and cheering about that. This isn't often found in women's shoes. It gets to a certain size, like a 9 or something, and that's it. It just cuts off, and you don't get any sizes larger than that, which is quite frankly ludicrous. I believe these go from a women's UK size 3.5 right up to an 11. That could answer many ladies' requests for a longer, better fitting shoe. I think the midfoot and forefoot area of the shoe is slightly wider than you typically get in a women's release, and you get a narrower heel, so that's answering all the things that we see in requests from women's shoes. Certainly a lifestyle shoe, this one, but I bet you any money that there'll be some more athletic stuff coming in the future. Now, one of the most important things about this shoe release is the interesting sort of returns policy there is. I shouldn't say returns really, because they'll actually send you a new pair of the shoes if your feet increase in size. This is something that's very, very common when women become pregnant. Over that 9-month period, your feet can actually expand up to a half size, or even more sometimes. And this is a permanent thing too. Now, I wasn't aware of this as a guy until this happened to my wife, in fact. She was complaining that her shoes felt really uncomfortable, they weren't really fitting her properly anymore, and when we did measure her feet, they'd increased by a half size. SAYSH have a special policy where you can get in contact with them and provide some proof of purchase, and they will send you a brand new pair in a half size up. Forward-thinking practices which have been a long time coming. What do you think? Story 3. ADIDAS are still persisting with their 4D lineup, which to me seems like a 3D midsole really rather than 4D, but I'll let them off. With the release of their 4DFWD 2, the second iteration here of the 4DFWD lineup, which is designed to reduce braking forces. So I take it they're looking at impact protection more than anything here, although it does say that the structure of the midsole there will propel you forward. As it sort of crumples down, it will sort of throw you forward like some sort of catapult, or a cannon maybe. Do they fire people out of cannons anymore? I don't know. That should be a thing. Don't try that at home, of course. It's only for professionals. This one could propel you forward and also smooth out the impact of each of your foot strikes. There's an interesting mix up here in terms of the upper. They've actually switched it up a little bit from the first version of the shoe. I think you've got Prime Knit Plus and a mesh now, which seems like Adidas are finally moving themselves away a little bit from Boost. They really do seem to be persisting with this sort of lattice structure. It is quite interesting and intriguing. A lot of people have said it's quite firm underfoot, but then again, there's lots of very, very positive reviews for this shoe online. There's a huge number of 5-star reviews from loads of different users on their app right now. People quote the incredible durability and comfort of the shoe, along with the feature as well that you can throw them into the washing machine and they come out really, really clean. Obviously, you've got no foam to worry about here, which is a big bonus. So maybe they're onto something there. Perhaps they can utilize this type of structure and some Light Strike Pro in the future and incorporate that into a new shoe that's a little bit lighter. I think that's the only real drawback that I've seen of this shoe so far. It's quite a heavy one, especially perhaps in my UK size 11 or above. Let me know if you've checked out the 4DFWD or the 2 as well in the comments below. Do you think this sort of 3D midsole thing will die out a little bit like Nike Shox did? Or do you think if they persist with it, they'll finally sort of break through into the running market? Perhaps it could take over from Boost at some stage in the future with that real longevity in the midsole. Story 4. Nike looks set to churn out a whole hatful of different colorways of their recent ALPHAFLY NEXT % 2. I'm closing in on 100 miles in these. I will have my review very soon for you. It's hard to miss this total orange version that is soon to come out. Strangely, not actually total orange, as there are some neon green hits here, especially in those AirPods and in the heel rubber section of the shoe. We're back to a black swoosh on the top, and they've kept the mid to forefoot rubber black as per the first 2 releases of the ALPHAFLY 2. These do remind me a little bit of that very striking Vaporfly 4% Flyknit colorway that released. I can remember seeing hundreds of those on the start line of a race at one point. Everybody seemed to have grabbed themselves a pair and then wore them out very quickly. No idea on a release date for these, but I imagine it won't be very long before we see new versions. Nike will probably try to capitalize on some of the marathons and delayed events that are happening later in the year. Summer's coming to an end and there seems to be loads of races on still. Maybe those have been perhaps postponed from earlier in the year or even last year. I'm not too bothered about this colorway of the shoe. I think some people will go for it, but to me it lacks the simplicity, I suppose, of that prototype colorway. I really do like these sort of off-white versions where you can add your own kind of mojo. A bit like a old guitar, I suppose. Yeah. Doesn't smell good. Plus the fact the Endorphin Pro 3 is taking up lots of my miles and time right now. And it doesn't seem to bother my arch as much as the ALPHAFLY 2 does at marathon pace. Are you going to pick up a pair of the Nike ALPHAFLY 2 a little down the line, or are you going to wait for those discounts? Is this colorway a must-have for you? Let me know down in the comments. If I've missed a really interesting story in terms of running news, let me know on the email in the description. Musical interlude time. Absolutely worth checking out is the album The Jacket from Widows Speak. Really calm, mellow vibes here. Some lovely soft guitar playing, reverby electric guitars, and this whispered vocal. It really is beautiful. If you've got a headache and you listen to the vocalist from Widows Speak, your pain will soon disappear. I think this album was released back in March, but I've only just been made aware of the band by checking out their session on KEXP. Probably a good one for the long run with those calm and relaxing vibes. Go and check it out, guys. The Jacket by Widows Speak. Thank you for tuning in today. It's always appreciated. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications when I launch those new videos for you. Really helps us out too if you give this video a thumbs up like and also share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you